Welcome back to another video of guitar riffs. I'm going to show you how to play that riff I was just playing that I call Ethereal Rock 1D. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play it without the backing track so you can hear the guitar itself a little more clearly. So I want to cover how I'm getting the sound that I'm getting. So I'm using my Squier Jagmaster guitar, nothing crazy special. But I did put in my own Seymour Duncan Saturday Night Special pickups, and I'm only using the bridge pickup. I have tone on full, and I'm also using Logic Pro to get some of those effects, but you can also use GarageBand. So let's take a closer look at that. So like I said, I'm using Logic Pro, but you can get the same settings in GarageBand. I'm using the Britain Clean amp under the clean guitar. I threw on the high drive treble boost. I think I boosted it just a little bit, and I moved the switch over to treble. I think the tie-dye delay that I'm using is all default. And over here, I have gain at about 4, tone a little above 6, drive up just slightly, ever so slightly below 4, and reverb almost up to 8. So let's take a closer look at the riff, starting with the... So that little riff, da-da-da-dum, I'm doing 1 E and all 16th notes. I'm going to start on the 3rd fret of the E string with my index finger, and I'm going to hammer on to the 5 with my ring finger, and then slide up to 7, slide, with my ring finger. So we'll start with just that. So closer look here, I'm starting on the 3rd fret of the E string. I'm going to hammer on to 5, and then slide up to 7. And I'm only hitting that E string once. Then for I'm going to use my index finger to jump down to the D string to land on 5. And we're going to vibrato that for 2 beats. So that's going to be 2, 3. Or 2 E and 3 E and So I'll jump down to the 5 on the D string with my index finger and vibrato that for 2 E and 3 E and So if I put those 3 beats together slowly, it's going to be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and Moving on to the 4th beat, so we'll say 4 E and because it's a quarter note. We're not only going to hit that 7 with our ring finger, but we're also going to bend it a full step up and bring it back down. So I'm going to have my ring finger on the 7 of the D string, and I'm going to use my index, middle, and ring to bend that string. I prefer to bend down when I'm closer to the center of the guitar fretboard, but you could bend up if you're more comfortable with that. And we're going to bend and bring it back. 4 E and And the nice thing about having that index finger on the 5th fret still is that's where we're going next. For beats 1, 2, and 3 of the 2nd measure, we're going to vibrato with our index finger on the 5 of the D string. So if I'm back at that 5 on the D string, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, giving you a bit of vibrato for those first 3 beats of the 2nd measure. If we put them together, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now the next little bit that follows, the starts with a double slide of both the B and the E string. And I'll show you what I mean. So we'll use our index finger to bar both the B and the E string for that 4th beat. And if you prefer to count 16ths, 4 E and or just 4. And we're going to slide up to 5, but it's a grace note, so it's going to be a quick little thing. Slide. So here I am at the 3 of the B and the E string. I'm barring both with my index finger for that quick grace note slide, kind of like an accent. It's just a quick little thing. For beat 4, so it'd be 4. If you prefer to count 16th notes, 4 E and So I'm going to play what we've learned so far slowly while counting. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Following that grace note slide, we're going to go back to the 3-3 where we started with that slide for beat 1. So we will do a slide up and we're going back. So that's 4, 1, or 4 E and 1. Then for the second beat of the third measure, I'm going to do another grace slide. Except this time I'm going to do the second fret of the G string and the third fret of the B string, using my index finger and middle finger for that 2-3. I'm going to slide up to 4-5 to do the same kind of thing that I did with the 3 slide to 5. So leaving off here on beat 1, on the 3-3 of the B and the E string, I'm going to go back a fret, move my index finger up to the G string, second fret, and my middle finger to the third fret of the B string. And I'm going to do another grace slide up to 4-5 for the second beat. And also similar to that grace 3-3 to 5-5 slide, going back to it, I'm doing the same thing with the 3-2. I'm going to go back to that for beat 3. So if I'm doing that grace slide, I'm going back where I started for beat 3. Then if I do all 3 of those beats together, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. Then to finish off the third measure, I'm simply just doing an open G string by itself for beat 4. Again, just a quarter note. So if I do that whole measure together, it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And then we're going to wrap the whole thing up with the first beat of the fourth measure. So we'll take a closer look at that. So to wrap this up, we're going to do a couple of hammer-ons, 0 to 2 to 4. I'm going to hit the 2 with my index finger and the 4 with my ring finger. And I'm only hitting that G string one time for da-da-da. That's going to be 1 E and. Then we're going to wrap the riff up on the 3 of the E string with our middle finger for ah, and that's just going to ring out tied to keep it going. So taking a closer look at the fretboard, I'm going to hit the open G string, I'm going to hammer on with my index finger, and hammer on again with my ring finger on the 2 then the 4. 0, 2, 4. Again, only hitting it for the open string. I'm not hitting it again after that. Not like, but just one time. And letting those hammer-ons do their thing. 1 E and, then the ah to finish it up. Jumping down to that E string with my middle finger. 1 E and ah. Now I'll play the whole riff slowly while counting it out loud so that you can get an idea of what it sounds like a little bit slowed down. 1 E and ah, 2 E and ah, 3 E and ah, 4 E and ah, 1 E and ah, 2 E and ah, 3 E and ah, 4 E and ah, 1 E and ah, 2 E and ah, 3 E and ah, 4 E and ah, 1 E and ah, 2 E and ah, 3 E and ah, 4 E and ah. And there it is. I hope you enjoyed the riff. I always recommend checking out the other ethereal rock riffs and any other guitar riffs to help you get better at improvising, coming up with ideas. Just have fun with it and happy practicing.